Hey guys, Melissa, Kathleen, Jasmine. Sorry, this video is going to be so awkward because we're awkward.
If you don't like cringy stuff, turn off now.
We're the Hoya girls. This is Jasmine. She couldn't come tonight, and also she's more of like a silent partner.
Yeah.
You'll never see her on our Instagram
Or talk to her.
If
you're talking to the Hoya girls, you're talking to either Kathleen or Melissa, and we'll mention Jasmine. Usually when we're talking about the serpents, and that's it. But
right, it's Melissa, Jasmine, or Melissa, Kathleen, and Jasmine Serpents. No, just kidding. We love Jasmine. She's our third best friend. But so we thought we'd get on tonight and do our first YouTube video. That's why it's going to be the most awkward thing on earth. But, you know, just bear with us.
we really need to perfect our intros. We'll work on it and come up with some kind of system.
Yeah. Yes. So today's video is going to be some Hoyas that we think are really easy and kind of vary a little bit between each of our houses, and then also some harder Hoyas, maybe not for beginners, the ones that we may have killed before and have just had to learn what works and what doesn't, I guess.
Right. Which could be different for everyone. What works for us might not work for you. Yeah. These are our personal experiences in our own environments. Like, we have different experiences, and we live in the same town, and we've been collecting Hoyas for the same amount of time, and sometimes we can't even take care of the same plants. So it really just does depend, but in general, the easy ones I think that will be good for beginners because how, like, our different environments and where we put them, they thrive pretty much in anything. So that's why we think the easy ones are, if you're a beginner, will be good for you.
Yeah. Do you want to do the first easy one?
Yeah, I actually think that this is the easiest Hoya
in
the world, at least in our collections, and that's I think it's called Species Affinity Burtonii. We just call it Burtonii. Yeah. But so this one is mine, and I have mine in really high light underneath a really bright grow light with the humidifier because I'm really trying to get it to grow peduncle. It hasn't yet. But as you can see, it's really sun stressed and it grows like crazy. And we're in the middle of like fall and it's still growing like crazy with the help of the grow lights and everything. Yeah. And so, but before I had it under the grow light, I had it in like hanging in my skylight, and so it didn't get as much light, and it still grew really well, but it wasn't sun stressed, and now it's sun stressed.
Yeah.
So,
and it's so full, like they grow from the top, which is nice. They're not like that type of Hoya or house plant that will just vine and be kind of naked on the top. I really hate that. Like, I love String of Hearts, but I really need to watch Harley G's video to see how to like get it to be full on top because mine is like naked.
Yeah, and I don't have one anymore.
Leave it in the shop.
Oh, sorry.
So I also have one of these, and I also think it is like the easiest plant. This one and one of the other ones that we're gonna show you are just like the easiest thing. So this is actually 2-in-1 pot because I had to, and then I got tired of watering 2 plants. Like, I'm already really bad at watering this. And so I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna put it in one pot. So that's why mine is so full. Hers is just one.
But it's still very full.
Yeah, but it's still very full. Hers actually has so much new growth. So I have mine underneath a grow light. It's not as strong as the one that she has, but it still is like really nice and succulent. It's just not as you can see, sun stress. So you can like go very long time without watering this. It's pretty like tolerant. I mean, you will get, I have an example of that right now. You will get some like dried leaves. Hi, Jasmine. You will get some dried leaves. But as a whole, you know, we all know those Hoyas or just houseplants that you miss a watering and it's just like dead. And there's no bringing it back. Yeah.
Don't underwater it.
Yeah.
Side note. Also, I'm looking at this leaf and it's like, it has really beautiful splashing on it.
Oh.
Mine does not have a lot of splash. It's not really a splashy Hoya, but it is fuzzy. So if you want some fuzz and you want something that's sun stressed and you want something that's easy, so this is a lower light version. Hers is a lower light scenario, but you can see it still grows super well and it's super full and long and healthy and happy. And mine is in a really high light and still they look different, but they're both really happy and healthy. And that's why we think this one's so easy, because it can thrive in a lot of different conditions. Like we haven't put this in like low light. We don't have any Hoyas in low light, but I think if you had a lower light situation, this would be one that would still probably do okay.
Yeah.
You have to give it light. Like, don't put it into a dark room or anything. Yeah. Any Hoya needs light. But, like a pretty bright light. But if you don't have, like, as bright, like a southern window, like, that's the really bright. But if you have, I think this could do well in, like, a north window that gets some sun.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was actually really tempted right to the right of us. I have a huge picture window, but it's northern light, which sucks because I can't put anything in it. But I actually might put like this and then the one we're going to talk about next.
Yeah. This is one that you can experiment with lighting.
And if you're bad at watering, this is for you.
And it seems to be doing well in a higher humidity, but it will do well in an area that doesn't have a lot of humidity too. So anyway, and it's beautiful and awesome, and it's definitely one of my favorites. It's so, and it's fuzzy. Who doesn't love fuzzy? You gotta love the fuzzy.
Who doesn't love fuzzy?
And it's pretty easy to find.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. These Hoyas, most of these Hoyas that we're gonna show you, one, we just want you to remember should be always at a good price point because they're not hard to find. They're relatively easy to take care of, and very tolerant to all sorts of different growing ideas. So the other one is the Hoya australis. So
this one's so easy. This might actually be the easiest.
I mean, I need to water this. I'm just like feeling it. It's pretty like shriveled, but still look at it. I haven't watered this maybe in like 2 or 3 weeks.
And we each have several of these. I have, well, and there's the variegated version. Should we show the Lisa? Because it's also very easy to take care of. And so we each have like 3 large plain green, and they just grow so well, and they're not in super, like we don't have any of our australises really under like grow lights or anything. And we live in Washington State, so around this time of year it's dark.
I mean, honestly, this sits on my bathroom counter, which is my house has terrible lighting. I have grow lights literally everywhere in my front room and my bedroom because I have bad lighting. However, in the bathroom, this one and the one we'll show after this sit in the dark. Like it's in a corner and it has new leaves coming in. Like it is and new vines. These are new. It is very low light tolerant, honestly. Yeah. Like it thrives in highlight, right? Do you think so?
Yeah, I think any Hoya is going to do well in brighter light, obviously, but if you don't have a super, like if you only have northern windows, but you really want a Hoya, get an australis. Yeah. I really think it will live in a lower light. These keep growing, and like we said, we're in Washington, and these keep growing even through the fall, and we only have them in natural light, and they still grow, and it can be dark for days, like hardly any sun because it's so cloudy and rainy, and it still grows. This thing is a freak. Yeah, honestly. And you should probably water it like every 7 to 10 days, but we sometimes go a month without watering it. We don't advise that. We're saying if you do that, it will not die. I don't think it's possible
to kill
for the australis to die.
To kill an australis regular, just like the green variety, because I actually have killed the Lisa before. But because I overcompensated, I waited so long to water it, freaked out, and then watered it way too much. So you can kill it if you water it way too much. But this too, like we see this Lisa, this variegated Lisa, like I think it's starting to become more popular. So it just like maybe, I don't know, it's not as hard to find. However, I feel like people charge way too much for this. This is such an easy plant
grows really well for a variegated plant, especially because variegated plants just tend to be slower.
Yeah, I have it sitting under like not a strong grow light, and it just like pops out new leaves. Like this is a new vine, and it just like, these are all baby leaves, just constantly coming in.
I usually keep mine in just natural light, which is like an southeastern facing, so it gets a lot of bright light. Right now though, I do have it under a strong grow light, and the new growth comes in red, like bright
it's beautiful.
red. So beautiful. So definitely it will do really well in really bright light, especially the variegated one. If you want it to be really variegated, give it more light. But as far as like a variegated Hoya, this is like the easiest one, I think.
I agree.
It's so easy, such a fast grower, and really tolerant to like not watering it enough.
Yeah.
I think
just don't
that
overcompensate.
This one is definitely more sensitive than the plain green one to watering. Like if you go a little too long on the variegated one, it might drop a leaf or so. So to like try to keep up a little more on this. But as far as like a harder to find variegated Hoya, the Australis Lisa, definitely one of the easiest ones.
Yeah, I agree.
That's kind of like an audible mention because it kind of goes with plain green. We mostly were
Sisters.
saying this one is the easiest, but if you really want an easy variegated Hoya, go with the Lisa. It's so beautiful. The variegation is so insane.
It really is. Like,
I mean,
it's like painted. I mean, and I know that a lot of people are actually going to like probably come for us for saying that this is an easy Hoya, because some people, I don't know. I had to get some help from James, Urban Jungle MSP, when we first originally got these. But I mean, he also will tell you, you just kind of have to play around with your plants.
Yeah.
Like figure out what works best for you. That's the most annoying piece of advice I know, because I used to be like, okay, thanks
for the non-advice.
But honestly, it's true. Somebody who lives in Michigan cannot tell me how to care for a plant. Washington's very different.
And you just have to live and learn. Like she said, she did kill our original one. They were small cuttings, but now this one is doing really amazing and has grown like twice this size. And this is also a lot easier to find now than when we originally got them. When we originally got them, they were like impossible to find, and we got so lucky finding a local person that sold them. But now you should be able to go online and be able to get one pretty easily. Yeah. But it makes sense because they are really fast growers.
So true.
Okay, right. So the next one.
Let's see. You want to do this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one I think is really common. It's probably on everyone's easy list, but we have to mention it because it is so easy.
And I also think it is one of the most beautiful and underrated Hoyas ever.
And I did somehow, when we first got into Hoyas, I killed one of these. I don't even understand.
I don't either.
It's embarrassing, but
the pubicalyx. This technically is a pubicalyx splash.
Don't even get us started on the splash thing.
I don't know. I mean, it has very splashy.
This is the pubicalyx splash are actually like extremely splashy, but I think you can get any pubicalyx and it will be splash. You could make it splashy. It will get splash. Yeah. These ones are just, we bought them with a lot of splash, and they continue to have a lot of splash. Like they always throw splash.
Yeah.
But pubicalyx, obviously, very easy. You don't have to water them like that often at all. That's the only thing that, if you're first getting into Hoyas, might be harder for you, is don't water it too much.
Yeah.
Like, do not water a pubicalyx every week. It will probably die.
Yeah. Like, this is one of those Hoyas, like, I hear people all the time say, let them dry out completely. Well, there's a lot of Hoyas that do not like to be dried out. Like, they will be so mad and just die if you let them completely dry out.
Which you will see in a little bit on our harder Hoyas. There's one that if you let it dry out,
it's dead. However, this I think does like to be, it is very tolerant to being dry.
Yeah.
You know, like the leaves will shrivel, like get all wrinkly like a little old man. And then you water it and then it's like back to happy. You know, it is fairly simple. And also this plant also lives in my bathroom. I moved this into the bathroom and it shot out this vine, and this one.
Yeah.
So it's like, it likes high light, it tolerates low light, like it doesn't care. I'm sure it's like reaching for light, but like that's what it's doing, but.
I think that in my house, the pubicalyx it needs more light than the plain green Australis. Yeah. I think that you do have to have it in a little higher light than some of your, like maybe the Burtonii or the Australis, especially if you wanted to throw splash. I think splash really is will throw more splash if you have it in higher light. But the pubic calyx is such an easy grower. It grows so fast. People always say Hoyas are slow growers. Get a pubic calyx. They grow really fast. Get an Australis. Australises are almost like too fast. It's like, slow down. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with you when you're like a tree. But definitely, and pubic calyx is so easy to find. You should be able to find it
anywhere. Anywhere. I mean, I go on eBay a lot. I just like to kind of like to watch the plants. I do get some, I only get them if they're good deals. I'm not like anyone who's going to spend $200 on a plant, but I like to see how much they go for, and it's just kind of interesting to me. However, yeah, I see a lot of pubic calyx on there, and they'll sell them for $12, like a huge one. Yeah. So
we have a couple different species, types of them too. We have this one, and we have the Hawaiian purple. And the Hawaiian purple is awesome because the new growth comes in purple, and when they bloom, we haven't had a pubic calyx bloom yet, unfortunately, but their blooms are really pretty and purple, like a dark purple color, and so that's why they're called Hawaiian purples. And their new growth though is like so dark purple, it's so gorgeous. This one, their new growth comes in, mine comes in green, but
mine too.
The Hawaiian purple is really awesome because it comes in a different color. There's a bunch of different types of pubic calyx. Usually it just depends on it just is the bloom that's different, or but that new growth can be different on some of them as well. And my Hawaiian purple is putting out a huge tendril right now, so I'm really hoping it throws a peduncle. Because a lot of times when they throw tendrils like this, they'll throw a peduncle at you.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
Keep your eye out. Don't ever cut a Hoya tendril that's doing this, because it might put a peduncle out. Yeah, mine hasn't yet.
Please put a peduncle.
I'm hoping.
Yeah. So
easy peasy and easy to find. And this one,
we got this at Pistols. Yeah, in Portland.
This one is one of the definitely one of the cheaper ones too. You can get like a 4-inch for like $12. Yeah. In our area, obviously, like I said, we're in Washington. We don't know. Maybe they're harder to find on the East Coast or something, or in other countries. But for us, we see these pretty much anywhere we go.
Beautiful.
Not like Lowe's or Home Depot, not that easy, but like a local nursery.
Yeah.
The Bertonii actually we got at Lowe's, amazingly.
Yeah, we got the Bertonii. And
Crimson Princesses, these aren't on our list. Actually.
Oh, and the Curtesii we got at Lowe's, but that's not.
I actually think the Curtesii is very difficult.
Very difficult. Very difficult. I think more people actually will say that the Curtesii is really difficult, but all right. The next one is.
I haven't killed mine, but it didn't do anything for about a year.
I feel like we're going to say this about literally every single Hoya we're going to show you.
Oh my God, this one is a mammoth.
Yeah. I got this one from Bros with Hose.
Yeah, I have one from Bros with Hose too that you got and we split because it's gigantic.
Look at this. This is a Shepherdii. So the thing that I love about Shepherdii is one, like such an easy grower, very tolerant to not like watering it. It will just like kind of shrivel, and then you water it and it'll plump back up, and they throw peduncles like nobody's business. Like they love to flower. This one has like, I don't know, 10 peduncles.
If we can find one.
There's one right here.
Yeah.
There's a peduncle. Oh, hello Jasmine again. Let's see. I don't know if you could see that.
Yeah.
Yep, there's a peduncle. There's like a big peduncle.
And so the peduncles on the Shepherdii and most Hoyas will, oh, here's another one. Here's one.
There's a small one. There's a really big one in here somewhere.
They will drop their buds and then they'll rebloom from the same peduncle. So don't pick your peduncles off after they bloom. Hoya bellas will drop their peduncle as well. They don't rebloom, which is annoying, but they bloom so much. So
yeah, there's one right there, a small one. There's a really big one in here somewhere. I just don't know.
And the more it blooms from that same peduncle, the longer and bigger it gets. We have another one we'll show you that has some really big, long peduncles. They look like old cigarettes almost. I mean, they're definitely not the prettiest thing, but you love a bloom, so you have to live with it. But the Shepherdii is so easy. The only thing is with the Shepherdii is like, don't water it a lot. Yeah. I think they will. I've never overwatered one. Oh my God, it's attached to me. But I can imagine this one being really sensitive because if you felt this leaf, they are so thick and succulent. They hold so much water in their leaves that they just don't need a lot of water in their roots. And then the roots won't be able to absorb because the leaves already have so much water. So they but that's a nice thing for beginner is that you just don't have to water it that much, so you can kind of set it and forget it. If you give it if you give it more light, you'll be more likely to get it to bloom. I have one though that doesn't get a whole lot of light and it does fine.
Yeah. I mean, this one doesn't get like a whole lot of light. It has a grow light, but again, not a very strong light. It's under the same grow light that my Burtonii is under. And this one actually like bloomed and I didn't realize it.
Yeah,
like I didn't know that it was blooming because it was underneath. I really wish.
Yeah, it's
it's right here.
It blooms in the inside a lot.
Yeah, so it has this.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe. But this right here, that's a peduncle.
Yeah.
Like it is really large.
Because it's bloomed so many times.
And it has bloomed so many times. And it was underneath all of these. And I just like walked by and I saw like a flash of light. Like, not light, white. And I looked at it and I was like, oh shoot, it is blooming. So it doesn't need a lot. It doesn't need a lot of light to bloom, and it doesn't need a lot of attention to bloom. It just does.
Just don't, you can just like leave this guy alone and don't give it too much and it will just do great. Obviously this thing is huge. The only thing I will say about this is that be careful when you move it around because this one is they like their new growth is really sensitive and they'll bleed. The growth will be fine, but it'll just get like sticky sap on you. And their vines are really sensitive too. If you like hit them or like they get hit, they'll like bleed really easily. It's a strange thing about this. I think it might be because it's so succulent that it just like pops a little. I don't know, but I notice that anytime I move this thing, I'm like, okay, it has sap everywhere.
Yeah, it's this. Like, if you can see that white, it's blood.
Sap. But I mean, it's not like they like drop, like the leaves will drop because they have a little dent or something. But just be aware that sometimes their vines, when they're new, can be really sensitive. Yeah. But super easy and I think pretty easy to find.
Yeah, I
super
love this
easy
one so much.
to grow. It grows so fast. Like this thing has probably 30 new leaves. The new leaves are darker. And I've also propagated this and given cuttings to people. My sister and our good friend Candace. And it's really easy. Just water propagating.
Yep.
Super easy.
Yep. It's
really easy and one. Don't take like new growth, but like a more like.
Oh, there's an peduncle right there.
Yeah.
Just see, and one right there, all on the same vine.
Yeah, I have vines that have like 4 peduncles.
They just to pop up.
Mine has only actually bloomed one time though. I love the blooms smell really good too, and they're really cute. And they smell.
They have a really really nice floral scent.
Yeah, kind of like an old grandma, but I like it.
An old grandma.
But yeah, so really easy to propagate too. Just throw it in water or whatever medium, and it'll probably root for you pretty easily. I didn't even add extra humidity.
No, no, I don't. It doesn't even sit next to a humidifier. This one does not. It actually sits on my fireplace. You do have to be careful of like burning it. It is sensitive to like too much heat, like direct heat. Like if you live somewhere hot, it's gonna be fine, but don't like burn it. I've burnt it before. So you just have to be careful from like the fireplace. Right.
I think we have one more easy, a couple more easy ones actually. Now these ones, we will say these ones are a little bit harder to find. Those other ones are like common and easy. Yeah. And these ones we want to just still mention because they're really easy. And if you ever see them online or something like Etsy, eBay, Facebook groups, if you're on them, dangerous, but get on those buy sell trade groups. This one is the Hoya calycina. I think that's how you say it. That's how we say it.
I think so.
And it is such an easy grower, and it's fuzzy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who doesn't want that? It's so soft. It has the softest leaves. The undersides are like velvet, and the tops are also really fuzzy. Mine at home, because most of these are Mylissus plants, except for my Burtonii and one other one. Yeah. Mine at home has a peduncle that's budding as well.
Yep.
I'm really excited, hopefully. And it's, like I said, fall. I do have it under a grow light. We keep both of ours in pretty bright.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're...
It's by a humidifier too, so...
I think that fuzzy Hoyas are ones that do need brighter light. They have the fuzz to protect them, so they don't usually get sun stressed, but they, I think, like brighter light. And we give both of ours good amount of humidity.
Yeah.
So if you can just give them that, those conditions, they're really easy. And if you see one, get one. They're so
They're just really
I think
nice.
they're so
they're
underrated.
Pretty. I do too. I think that they're really pretty. They're fuzzy, like she said. They're easy grower, easy to find. I got this from Logi's. Did I get this? Yeah, we got 2 from Logi's, and I think they were like $20.
No, we didn't get it from Logi's. We got it from Jen DP on
that's
Facebook.
right. Sorry,
you got
we
the
got
louder
it. Yeah.
Bachii.
Okay.
Also honorable mention, also really easy. I know a lot of people say the louder Bachii is difficult.
Yeah.
It's very similar to this, fuzzier though.
Yeah.
I heard the louder Bachii will like never bloom inside, but we're mostly foliage people. I mean, if we get peduncles and blooms, we're like, hell yeah, but we mostly collect them for the foliage anyway. But anyway, this one is super easy. I just think that this one is probably one that you have to get brighter light. Like, don't try to put this in a north window. I don't think it would do that well, but it could probably do with or without the humidity.
Yeah.
But I always have kept mine in a more
Pretty
humid area.
Same.
But these grow pretty fast. Like, I think all of this is new.
Yeah.
And mine also is growing really fast and hopefully blooms for us. I'd be so excited if it blooms.
Yeah, I can't believe I
A little harder to find though, but they do have them on Logi's. And if you find one, jump on it and get it because they're amazing.
You guys are gonna get really tired of hearing me talk about this, but I'm just so proud of it. It is
This one's
just
awesome.
so.
I have one as well.
I
Mine's
can't
not as big.
believe it, but look at this. So the Hoya Joy, no Viola. Sorry,
The Joy is also amazing, but that's not
the
in this
Viola
video.
is a. Are the Viola and the Joy related?
I don't know. The Viola is a Dakii something.
That's right. Oh, it's a Dakii and a Vilitina.
Is it?
I think
that
so.
sounds
Yeah.
right. What's the Joy?
So
I can't actually think of what the Joy even is.
me either.
This is awkward.
See, we're awkward. We don't know our plants. No,
Don't come
just
for
kidding.
us.
Don't come for us. Sorry, the Viola. If anyone ever tries to tell you that this is a hard grower, they're lying. Just lying. This thing roots easy. It grows really easy. I mean, I put this in the in the greenhouse, the indoor greenhouse, and yes, it took off. However, when it was just sitting in my bathroom window, which that is a southern window, it put out let's see, it came with 3 leaves and it put out this one, I think. So it will grow. I mean, I've never had a problem with this. It just, if you give it high humidity and give it really high light, it will just pop out a bunch of leaves. So I guess it's kind of an in-betweener. If you are able to give it the right conditions, it will grow very fast. But if you can't, it will be fine. It will grow just at a slower rate, right?
So I have one too, and mine is not as large. It was a less established plant, and mine came with 2 leaves, and mine is in soil, like a bark and cocoa chips type of perlite mix, and hers is in leca. So we're growing them in different mediums, but mine, I think when I first got it was just acclimating and working on roots, and then I put it in the greenhouse, and now it's popping off. I mean, it has a new leaf and a fucking tendril. Sorry, am I supposed to cuss in this?
I don't care.
It's in Boston. and so it really, I think that they do really well with humidity, but it was doing fine before the greenhouse, but it definitely started growing a lot at a faster rate with more humidity.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, the brighter light too. Obviously, you can see this one is really sun stressed.
Yeah.
And mine at home is sun stressed too. But I think I see a lot of them and they don't have sun stress. So some people must keep them in a lower light condition and they grow really well too. Yeah. We just have ours under really bright grow lights.
Yeah.
But so I think that they need bright indirect light, but you can give them this is direct light.
Yeah.
Ours are grown at I would call that
light.
direct light.
Yeah.
So they can, but I think they do need a brighter light. Don't try to put it in a north-facing window. I don't think it would do that well.
Yeah.
I don't think veiny Hoyas do well in a lower light situation.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But this one, obviously, once it gets going, we're saying this is easy because it then takes off and you can't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love the Viola as well. A little harder to find though, and a little pricier than the Calycina and the Viola are a little harder to find and a little more expensive than than the
But
other
worth
ones
it.
we mentioned, but definitely worth for sure.
For sure.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think that's all our easy
easy
ones.
ones.
Those aren't necessarily all of our favorites. They're just the ones that we find the easiest to grow. Some of them are our favorites, but some of our favorites are obviously the more difficult ones as well.
Yeah.
Because we're gluttons for a little bit of punishment.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start the harder ones off with actually a very basic Hoya that you probably
Yeah.
can find at your local Lowe's sometimes. Not us, but in Washington, you don't get good Hoyas in the big box stores.
No, very rarely.
But it is the Hoya Lacanosa. And this one is mine that I brought to my Alyssa's house to put on the video.
So many
because
peduncles.
my Alyssa has killed 3.
I don't know why. So I originally bought this long time ago when we first got into Hoyas. We were at a local nursery in Tacoma. And I was like, oh my God, it was huge. It was so
Gigantic.
big, just trailing, just gorgeous. I was like, I love this. I need this. And then I got it and I didn't know what I was doing. And I killed it.
I think it's because this is one of those Hoyas we were talking about that do not let this dry out to the point where the leaves are completely soft and
They
wrinkly.
don't. They won't. It will not.
It does
will
not
recover.
like that. It needs to be watered on a pretty tight schedule and don't let it go too long. This is obviously, don't come for me if you overwater your Lacanosa because I told you to. In my environment, I keep this really close to a humidifier and you can see it's very full and large and I love this plant. But I love it and it's huge and doing really well, but I did almost kill this as well when I first got it because I was treating it like all my other Hoyas.
Right.
And so I wasn't watering it that much, like every couple of weeks, whatever. I also didn't have this in a bright spot. So Lacanosa needs a lot of light. If you don't have a bright area with natural light and you don't want to get grow lights, don't get a Lacanosa.
Yeah.
You can't put this like in a darker corner. You probably can't even grow this in northern light. I don't know, maybe people in like Florida where the sun is
Just like
bright as hell.
Yeah.
In Washington, in our area,
You cannot.
cannot grow this in
That's how I
northern
killed
light. It's not bright enough. It needs a lot of light, and obviously this one is under a grow light now, but I usually grow this in southern light, and it's sun stressed.
yeah.
And
It's beautiful. And
the
this
new
leaves are so
new
succulent.
leaves look like a Croniana, but it's a Lacanosa. Once it gets older, the leaves will get longer and look more established. But Croniana and Lacanosa are actually really similar. I
They're
put
related.
Croniana in the difficult category because I've killed 2. I'm on my 3rd one right now.
Yeah,
so
I
I'm
should
fine.
actually show you mine because I've killed this plant, like she said, 3 times.
Yeah, go get your
I have
Croniana.
grown Croniana. I've sold one before. I gave one to her because she killed it 3 times. And I have this one.
I don't
Wait
get
till you
it,
see it.
because the Croniana and the Lacanosa are really similar, and I do really well with the Lacanosa, but I keep killing Croniana. But I'm on my 3rd one, it's doing fine. But also, this one is currently budding. I'm brave because I brought it to my Alyssa, so hopefully it doesn't drop its peduncles. But so this is blooming, and then so I'll show you. These are like established peduncles that you can see here. So this blooms constantly, all the time. Here's another one. This one doesn't have any buds. It just dropped its buds. That's fine. It bloomed, and then they last like a week for me usually. And then this one is re-blooming here.
All right, sorry, it took me so
So
long.
mine
Okay,
is really happy, and I figured out the care, but I did almost kill this, and we should put a before picture because this thing had like 2 vines and was so bare at the top. This thing, I love it because it will shoot from the top too, so it's really full. It likes to put new growth from the top, and it's really splashy and stuff too because I give it a lot of light. But even though mine is doing really well and blooms all the time, I still would not consider this an easy Hoya. I do not think this is for beginners.
It's not.
I think it's really finicky. I think it needs a lot of light, and I think it needs, if you want it to bloom, it needs high humidity. It will not bloom if you don't give it a lot of humidity. I didn't have it next to humidifier, and it grew a lot but didn't bloom, and I put it in a humid environment and it blooms all the time now.
Yeah.
But the watering on this, it just doesn't make it a beginner. Like if you go like a day too long, it will get a couple yellow leaves and try to die.
Yeah. So, its cousin.
It's very, very close.
I
relative,
also
and
have
don't
to
know
say,
why.
when
I
I
always
got this, I got it on eBay for a really good deal. I think I got this for like 30 bucks on an eBay. It's just an eBay auction. I was so lucky. And I got it, and I was like, it was pretty long. It had this tendril, but it was just till here. So just this one tendril. But this is my growth. This just shot out, and this is all me.
So you can see how they're similar.
They are very similar. The leaf shapes, like, I'm pretty sure that they're related.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is my pride and joy. And this is one of them that mine actually has a peduncle.
Yeah.
It hasn't done anything, but
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, it grew a peduncle, and it's fine, and it just keeps putting out new growth, and it's just in like the tiniest pot. It's in this little cup.
My Matilda has a peduncle and hasn't done anything either. Sometimes they grow peduncle when they're not actually ready, I think. I don't know what's up with it. But.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, she's killed this 3 times. I've killed that 3 times. So it's like, I would say this is really easy.
Hard.
This was, for me, this was really easy. For you, you would say this is easy because it was easy for you. However, we would say these are hard.
In general.
In general, because it's not like, not every, it's like, I don't know, personal experience. You know, sometimes they're easy and sometimes they're not. I've had really good luck with these. She hasn't. She's had really good luck with those. I have not.
But we can both agree that we wouldn't recommend if like a person that didn't own a Hoya, she actually just gifted someone their first Hoya, she gave them a Schipperdian because she knew they would be able to do it. If this was someone's first time getting a Hoya, even though my Lacanosa is really happy and I do really well with it, I would never give a beginner a Lacanosa.
No, that's just asking
Not
for
ever.
heartbreak. I mean, I gave my sister a Pubic Calyx.
Yeah.
You know, just things that I'm like, if the leaves start to feel soft, water.
I gave my sister like a Chelsea, pretty easy too. And
Yeah,
like,
Chelsea's
just
very
like
easy too.
start them off with something easy. I would never recommend a Lacanosa for a beginner. I think they're really common. I love them. I do love mine a lot, but it took me a while to understand the care. And I think the dudes that own Arium, because it was dying, I reached out to them and I was like, I don't know what to do. It's dying.
Yeah.
And they're like, give it more light and water it more. And I was like, okay. And then ever since then, it was like, thank you.
You know what I just realized? We're dressed like ketchup and mustard. That was not on purpose. Sorry, I was just looking at us in the camera and I'm like, we didn't plan this, but
so I love it. So difficult Hoyas, Lacanosa, and then we did
the
honorable
Eskimo.
mention Croniana.
It's cousin
And
Eskimo.
super Eskimos, like the more
Even harder,
silver.
yeah.
Almost impossible. I don't even know how to grow this.
I don't know. I think I love this. I love this thing. So it's so beautiful.
But this one is really accessible. You can find this like anywhere. I just think that if you aren't really ready to water it more and give it a lot of light and humidity, then probably skip on this one and go with like an Australis or something.
yeah.
But I love it, and if you want to take that on and you do want really good smelling blooms that do not smell like cinnamon, I don't know why it's called the cinnamon scented Hoya. It does not smell like cinnamon. It smells like old lady perfume. They smell great and they're really cute and fuzzy. Get this if you want to put a little more care into it, because it does. It's like a little. You kind of have to baby a Lacanosa. They also are horrible to ship. Do not get this sent in the mail.
Order one over the mail.
Find this locally or don't do it.
So I love to buy plants online. I have a serious problem.
She does.
And I ordered a Lacanosa, and so I don't count one of those me killing it because it showed up like dead because it just doesn't ship well. So
I don't think
that wasn't my fault.
I don't think the Croniana ships very well either.
Yeah, that's true.
Because one of mine I got sent to me and it like never recovered from it.
I'm really excited. I just noticed something. This has a new leaf coming in.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. I thought you knew that.
No.
Okay, we'll show you our next hard one that we've kind of figured out the care for it, but I just don't think this is we're saying they're like not beginner friendly, and if you've killed these, we understand because so have we.
Well, so I have the saddest story. I actually got one of these huge.
Really large. Yeah.
Like long tendril and I paid like $113 for it, which at the time I was like, oh God, it's so much. But I mean, it's still expensive. I agree. However, you won't find it now
No.
for less. Like it probably goes for like $200 now.
This plant is getting more and more popular and more expensive.
Yeah. So
We kind of understand though because it is harder to grow.
It is.
So this is one that we can kind of understand the cost.
Yeah, I killed it. I had no business buying Hoya calistophylla
We only had like
at
a
the
few
time.
Hoyas at the time. So Hoya calistophylla.
I killed it originally, and then I bought this from Steph Hall. Her Instagram is at the Plant Hall. I love her plants, by the way. She just like I bought this for $30. Yeah. You know, that in pretty recently, that's like impossible to find. She has the best prices and the best plants. But it hasn't done anything for so long. I had this in a terrarium at first and it popped out a bunch of leaves and then they fell off. And I was like, oh God, great, what's happening? I don't know what it was, but now it's in the grow tent and it has just the tiniest leaf. I mean, I can't show it to you, it's so small. Maybe, can you see?
And hers is getting a little sun stressed. Mine's also in the grow tent, and it's not sun stressed.
It's right there. I mean, I don't know if you can see this, but and also we just found out they sun stress.
Mine isn't getting sun stressed though.
It's been in there for a while. It's been taking a while, but I love this plant. When I first saw Hoya calistophylla, we were like, I need that.
Yeah, this was like our first wish list plant, and she got one when we were not ready for this type of Hoya, and then and we spent a lot of money on it, and it died. It was really sad, and it's because I think we underwatered it and then overcompensated and then gave it root rot. And so she grows hers in leca. I have one as well, and I grew mine in soil, and it does really well. It does great too. So I think it can be happy in any medium. I think calistophylla, it is really veiny. I think it needs a lot of light, and I think it really does well with a lot of humidity as well.
Yeah,
with airflow though.
I think that's it. A lot of these like are real, like the ones that we're going to show you. I think they're easy now because I have them in a greenhouse. You know, we have them in the right conditions. So it's like, yeah, they do. There are prolific growers if you give them the right stuff, which is why we don't think that they're for beginners or that they're easy. You really need to understand the plant to do something.
And this, if like they're really succulent, they have the most amazing texture.
Yeah.
They're like cardboard and like rigid, and they like have the veins have like texture. They're like raised. Yeah. I love it. If you are ready to baby a plant a little bit, and you have some of these like easier plants and you kind of mastered them, then I would go for calistophylla. But if you're just getting into Hoyas, I would go for like, you know, the Burtonii, something else first, and then go calistophylla.
Yeah.
Once you're a little more used to it and you're able to give them like a little more humidity and a little bit more attention, but just do not overwater calistophylla.
Yeah, don't do it.
And they will rot, and then it goes into the stem pretty easily, and then
it's not a very forgiving plant.
No, hers is very rooted. Stay tuned for our repot with me. We're gonna repot this into a larger net pot. Mine, like I said, is in soil, and so it's really rooted. But in soil, you can let them get a lot more root bound than I feel like leca, because with leca they just like sit in the water, and you kind of have to repot them a little more often. But mine is growing pretty fast in soil. So if you're not familiar with leca, then just stick with soil, because I think they actually do really well in soil.
Yeah,
as well.
I agree.
Just give it humidity and don't water it that much. I literally have watered mine one time in 3 months because it's in a greenhouse where it's so humid you don't need to water it. The leaves are just like so succulent.
I love this. Feel it.
I know.
Feel this.
Should we talk about this one next?
The new leaves are like velvety. Okay, so the next one that is on our harder list
hurts me.
Katie, that's not fair to say that you killed it, because it came to us like very flaccid, like it was just.
So we're putting this on the harder list because they're pretty much impossible to find locally, and they ship like shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I did it, but when we got, I should show it to you. It's the Hoya sigillatus.
It's so beautiful. I'm
obsessed with this now. So Jasmine actually got us each one of these, and it came really sad. A bunch of leaves had died. This originally only had 1, 2, 3, and then this 4th leaf. I had to have it in a cloche, and I kept it in there under a grow light for quite a while. And then finally it started, it was in dirt.
They were like they were
dirt?
not rooted.
They weren't rooted. And this was like our first experience
Yeah.
with like having to root something that we thought was going to be rooted and it wasn't.
Yeah, we hadn't rooted a lot of things before this.
Yeah. We hadn't, like, we just didn't realize that that's something that you really need to be weary about when you order a plant online, or even if you buy a plant in a store. It can say, if it's like a cutting like this, it can say that it's rooted and it's not. It'll have like one baby root. You know, like some people will say that they have rooted plants. They're just not rooted. Or when you ship them, they just ship bad and the roots die. Right?
That does happen. Yeah, like I got a lot of plants this summer, and the roots were rotted by the time they came to me. And I don't think that it was really the seller's fault. It was just that they got so hot in shipping. The roots just. Hoyas and roots, that's going to be your biggest issue getting into Hoyas.
Roots.
And anyone that's watching this that already is into Hoyas, I'm sure you've all experienced rot. I've experienced it so many times. And now I'm more familiar with just like re-rooting and moving on. But when we first got these, I was just like, I don't know. And I think I just like put it in dirt and it just dropped all its fucking leaves and died.
I don't remember.
And it makes me really sad because I love this plant. And when we got them, we actually got them before the hype of this plant, and now this plant is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
And so I haven't been able to get another one because I don't want to spend $90 on like 3 leaves. This plant is very expensive. But I understand why, because I do think it is a harder one to grow. So some plants that are expensive make sense, like the sigillatus. The serpents makes no sense. That plant should be $2.
Yeah, I agree.
We should show the serpents too, because we just love it. They grow amazingly.
But it also sun stresses, and
the leaves are like black.
The leaves are so dark. They come in when they're given a lot of sun. They come in like this bright red. And also the leaves, like the baby leaves, are like velvety. They're so soft. But then the bigger, like the more established leaves are like hard and like cardboard. It's just, I love this plant so much, but not necessarily the easiest one.
No. I think that what's really hard about this is just be prepared to rehab it after shipping, because if you find it, you're most likely going to have it shipped, because it's going to be really hard to find it locally unless you're lucky and like are in buy sell trade group locally or whatever. But a lot of times you're going to have this shipped, and I think that it just doesn't ship well. I've heard people trying to import this and it just like it's mush by the time it gets to you. Well, this was only shipped within the United States to us. It was only in shipping for like 2 days, and it was like mush.
I think it's because it's like a thinner stem.
Yeah. Her and Jasmine were able to rehab theirs. I lost mine, unfortunately, and then they're just too expensive for me to replace. But hopefully I get a cutting of one of these soon, because I really do want one, and I'm more experienced now, so I feel confident in rooting it now. But
probably could give you like this right here, actually.
It has so much new growth, though.
I mean,
we'll talk about that.
That's the best part about having plant fronds. Like, we used to get like 3. If there's 3, it's meant to be. But then we got smart with them getting more expensive, and we're like, okay, we'll get 1 and then cut it up.
Yeah, we got 1 huge Chelsea and then split it up, and then each of us only spent like $30, and it was gigantic. So and Chelsea's are actually harder to I have a hard time rooting Chelsea, actually.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've never tried. I've never tried to root a Chelsea.
The only way I've ever rooted a Chelsea was in Lekka. They do not root, and I don't know how anyone else
can't root anything in water, or I
can Linearis, Bella Australis, like
water.
Things like that. They were really easy in water, but the harder ones, I don't know. I have a hard time. Okay, I think this is definitely a harder Hoya. I have one. We could maybe put a clip of mine in. It's really, really sun stressed. You need to put this in the greenhouse. Mine is like red. It's so beautiful, but it's the Hoya Sunrise. So this is like a plain green one. If you put this under bright light, their leaves get red. And mine is really gorgeous, and it does grow really easy. I think these ship like shit.
Yeah,
they ship horribly, and they are such divas about being repotted.
Oh yeah.
When you repot this, you will likely have a couple yellow leaves, and you will likely have it not grow for like a month. I repotted mine because it was in one of those cocoa husk things. I hate that. And it was getting like too big for the cocoa husk. And so I like had to peel the cocoa husk off. I put it in a different pot and it threw a fucking fit. It dropped like 3 leaves. Yeah. Like it was growing really well, but then it had like stopped growing because the cocoa husk was like so tight. And then I had to repot it and it just was so pissed at me. I took a cutting and sold it. Shouldn't have done that because it was just like, don't touch me. But I put it in my greenhouse now, and it's under the bright light, and it's finally starting to love me again, thank God, because I was actually pretty scared because we've lost one of these.
Multiple.
Yeah.
And I killed mine.
When we first got ours came, and it was like huge and long, and it lost half of its growth.
You know, that's the other thing, is that we have found that if you find a plant online, just be wary that if it has a lot of sun stress, it's probably not going to do very well in the mail. Yeah. So, because we got the most beautiful, like, this was one of the first plants. I think the sunrise was the first plant that I got in the mail. Actually.
It was huge.
It was huge.
And that was before the hype too. We got them for a really good price. Now it's like an amazing price. I sold a cutting of mine for, I think it was just like a 4-leaf cutting for like $40.
Yeah. But and it just like, I don't know what happened, but all of the sun stress leaves died. They fell off and it just like didn't do well. And then Jasmine got this for me. She was so nice, like replaced mine for me. And I really need to water it. I just realized that, but.
They're really sensitive to being overwatered though.
Yeah.
Like if you overcompensate and this is one that you do kind of want to wait, not too long. I wait till my leaves are like a little soft, but not super soft and not wrinkly. If you wait till they're wrinkly, it gets mad too. But if their leaves are still really succulent, do not water it because they're very sensitive to being overwatered and they will lose leaves. And I just don't think they ship very well. And I just find that they can be such divas about being repotted. That's the biggest thing. Like if you repot it, expect it to like throw fit, drop some leaves, and then not grow for like a month. Mine's finally growing again. Thank God it's finally growing again. And mine, like I said, if we can put a clip in, we're not too used to doing that. Mine is very, very sun stressed and splashy, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think they like that amount of sun. Like they like a lot of sun, and I think they can do with or without humidity. Mine's in a really humid environment now, and it's growing again. But I really did that because I just was like, it needed a little oomph because it was so pissed about being repotted. Yeah. Any plant that throws such a fit about being repotted that it drops like 4 beautiful leaves is in the hard category for us. That's so stupid. If you're a beginner, don't get a Hoya Sunrise.
Yeah, don't do it. I mean, unless you really want to like trial and error, I guess, because that's how we got.
Take some cuttings for like some security plants. So if you like can kind of play around with it. I've actually never wooded sunrise.
Me either.
I should try.
But that happened to me when I repotted this because I know that you shouldn't do this, so sorry. Again, don't come for us, but we hate leaving them in the nursery pots.
Oh yeah, we are.
So we repotted it, and we're just like terrified of pests. So so I repotted this, and then it literally did nothing until I think Jasmine got this for me back in like February.
Yeah, you've had this for a while.
And it didn't do literally anything.
Yeah,
it did not die. It didn't, drop any leaves. It didn't grow until like 2 weeks ago. And then out of nowhere, it just started taking off like, I'm ready.
She needs to put hers under a brighter grow light.
Yeah.
Give it some
I agree.
stress.
Yeah, put it in the picture.
Mine is in a lot of light, and it's finally growing again, like I said. But just know that if you repot it, it's going to throw a fit.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a more annoying thing about some Hoyas. They can be very sensitive to being repotted because they don't like their roots touched.
Yeah.
And I had to like pull it out of that cocoa husk, so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an easy plant, and especially because it doesn't ship well. This next one also ships terribly.
Does it?
Mm-hmm. We have never shipped ours, but I've seen a lot of people online have them shipped, and they look like shit.
So this is one that I think, or at least around here, it's pretty easy to find. Not in like big box stores, but in local nurseries. Especially in Portland, we see this pretty often. I got this one at Sotheby's, and I should say we live in Olympia, Washington, but we love to go to Portland. It's like 2 hours. It's faster for us to get to Portland than it is to Seattle because of traffic.
Yeah.
So
we like Seattle too, but Portland.
But it's just it's faster to get to. So this one was one of my first loves. Like I love this plant. I think it's so beautiful. And but I killed the first one I ever had because I did not realize. So this is the Hoya macrophylla albomarginata.
Yeah,
maybe
this is like one of the only variegated plants that's easier to find variegated than the regular green. If you find a regular green macrophylla, that's actually like more rare than this one.
Yeah,
it's weird, but
right, it's so true. But the first one that I had, I didn't realize that this Hoya does not like to dry out.
Yeah,
so it has succulent leaves, and you would think that the more succulent leaves, the less water, because it holds water in the leaves. However, that's not true. I like waited way too long to water this, the first one I ever had.
Me too.
And then I tried to water it, and then it wasn't getting succulent, and then I was freaking out, and then I watered it again, and I overcompensated again, seeing a trend. Yeah, so that died. It got root rot and died.
Yeah, if you let your roots get too dry, then you water them, they will rot.
Yeah.
In most Hoyas.
Because they,
except for the like princess, that thing I'm not sure unless they're freaks, but
it's, I mean, if you think about it, the root like dries up, and then if you just water it, it's just sitting in like wet, and it's just gonna rot. It can't soak anything up because it's dried up. So
the roots are dead, and then you just water them, and then they just
it doesn't make any sense. So I love this so much. I love macrophylla of all types. The only one I need, I have the Snow Queen. I have the Baibua now, thanks to Gardinas. But I still need the Pot of Gold and just the regular green one, which has a peduncle. Is that a peduncle?
Maybe Jasmine has one too that Melissa gave her, and hers has a peduncle, but it hasn't done anything. Jasmine's house doesn't get enough light though. This plant needs a lot of light. Yeah,
it sits right underneath. It used to sit in the window actually that's right behind us. That's an eastern facing window. Now it sits under a very bright grow light, because honestly, I don't think in Washington, at least I live kind of in a wooded area, it's not going to get enough light sitting in a window. She has her plants that sit in her window have grow light right now because it's just not enough light.
Oh, in the fall. In the summertime, we're fine.
Fall.
Yeah, but in the fall and winter.
Yeah, going into fall.
I mean, last winter I didn't have any grow lights, and my plants did pretty well, but my collection now is just way more finicky, and so I definitely invested in some grow lights in the greenhouse and everything like that.
She really didn't want to do, by the way.
Yeah, because but last winter I was like, I'm not getting grow lights, that's so stupid, but no, now I do have grow lights. I actually don't have this one sitting under a grow light right now. It's in my skylight still, and it's still throwing out new growth actually. So I don't
This has
know.
all sorts of new growth.
I just don't think this one is super beginner friendly, just because it can be really sensitive to water and light, and it needs to acclimate for a while to your house, and so it probably won't start throwing out new growth for a while. It took our plants like months and months before it started. Sorry, my cat's drinking out of a water cup. I just don't think it's super like beginner friendly. It's super accessible though, and it's relatively cheap. So if you see one and you want to take it on, go for it. Just know that if you kill it, then it's okay. You can just join the club. We've both killed one. I let mine also dry out too much, and literally the leaves were crisp, like a fall leaf falling off the tree. And it just like dried up. It was so bad.
Sad.
But now my other one that I got, it's like the same kind of like I think they're in like 5-inch pots, 5.5, 6 inch, and they do really well. And then once they get going, they do take off pretty well. I just don't let it dry out too much. Like, it's so hard though. That's why this one's hard, because you just have to know when.
It's a fine
Just
line.
don't water it too early, you'll kill it with root
Right.
rot, but don't wait too long, you'll kill it with root rot as well.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why this one is on the hard list.
Serious fine line.
But I do love it, and I also just heard that they don't ship well. We've never shipped them, but I've seen all the time on the Hoya groups and stuff that they ship really horribly. Mm-hmm. But if you can find it for a good price, go for it, because we found ours for really good prices. I mean,
yeah, I think
Hoyas are
for
going
$30
for
bucks.
more and more and more money now.
Yeah.
We've also never been able to get ours to bloom yet. Hopefully we can. Mine doesn't even have a peduncle. Jasmine's does, and hers might.
Yeah, that I grew.
Yeah, I know. You're too nice for giving her that.
Yeah. Well, I felt bad because Jasmine wanted it, and then I saw it, and I was like, I want that, and then I bought it, and then I just grew it a little bit and gave it to her. So.
Is that our last one? Oh no.
No.
So we
There's
have
2 more.
We both agree on.
Sorry, this is the longest video ever.
Our first video. We're making it too long. Okay.
We'll
so
just be
actually have a
quick.
few. These ones are all like harder to find, so we'll just like kind of talk about all of them.
But there's one more.
No.
There should be one more.
Which one?
The Jennifer.
Oh, I think we put the Jennifer back.
Yeah, well. Okay.
Jennifer's
so,
also kind of hard.
So
I don't have either of these. So these are my Alyssa's
Yeah.
experience, but we both have this, and I think that this plant is definitely
the
harder.
Larissa.
I
Yeah.
do not think it's for beginner or even.
I don't either because I had this.
It's very hard to root.
I had a bigger one, not a big one. I'm kind of tired of people saying they have like big full plants and it's like this big. 3 leaves is not a full plant.
Okay, but this is
So you know.
beautiful. I want this.
But this is the Larissa. I got this from Peter Dodson. Katie has one too. Oh, it has another new leaf coming in. But
My hand did
it
nothing.
the
That's
first
a
one I
gross
had
plant.
died. It was very hard for me to root.
It's hard to root.
It just started doing well when I put it in the greenhouse. Like it's definitely one that needs high humidity and it needs warmth and it needs to, it's in soil right now and you can't let it dry out. Like all fully, but you also can't overwater it. It's just, it's a fickle bitch.
Yeah, I got mine also from Peter Dodson. Like we were saying, we got it in the summer, so some of the roots just didn't make it in shipping, whatever that happens. And so I've been trying to re-root it, and every time it roots, it then rots.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? It hasn't gone to the stem yet, so I just then do it over again, cut the fucking bad roots off, put it back. I'm a leca rooter. I always root in leca. I don't know what else I would even root that in. I pawn, maybe it's similar to leca though. I fucking hate moss and I refuse. So if it doesn't root in leca, then it's screwed.
It's screwed.
But I have it in my greenhouse now, and the leaves are so succulent and doing so well. It's just very hard to root, and so that's why we're saying that's a harder one. And it's also very difficult to find. So I mean, it's hard to find because it's hard to root and
it's
hard to grow.
So the other one is the clandestina. I am obsessed.
I know.
with
It
this
looks like a
plant.
latifolia. I think they get mis-ID'd all the time.
Kind of looks like just a green
Macrophylla.
macrophylla, but it's not. It's clandestina. So I put this in the hard to grow or hard to care for, not beginner category because this plant didn't do anything for me for the last 3 months. Like over the summer, it didn't do literally anything. I was like, are you gonna die? Are you gonna like, stay alive? I'm scared. But I put it in.
Trying to kill my Lacrimosa again, just like he always does.
My cat likes plants. He's naughty. But I put it in the greenhouse and it shot out this new growth. So, humidity. This plant needs lots of humidity, warmth, and light. Like it needs it to thrive. If you do not give it those things, it will not do anything or it might die. I don't know. Luckily, it didn't.
I don't
do
have
that,
one.
But
they're expensive.
They
That's
are.
also why they're not really big. So we need to do like a very expensive Hoya, like ones that we have that aren't, I don't think are beginner just because of the price. I mean, if you're really brave and you want to spend like $90 on a Hoya when you don't really know how to take care of them, I mean,
how much
more
I
power
spent
to
on
you.
this.
But I think
Truth.
that also makes them not beginner when they're that expensive and hard to grow.
Yeah.
Because you could spend like $30 on the Bretonii, and it's gonna grow amazing for you and be totally like worth it versus
So true.
harder to grow, and you're gonna, not really. This is probably one of the harder ones, and it's probably one of the more rare ones. Like you never see this offered.
Ever. And I got this from Steph Hall, and this is one that I thought I killed it. I was like, all the leaves melted off. Like, I think it's also one that doesn't ship very well.
Yeah.
And it's the Hoya Ruthier. And I brought this back from a stick.
Yeah, it was
like, and those are white leaves. Like, they are coming in, they're in direct light. These are healthy leaves. They feel great, but they're like coming in white and pink. Like,
I didn't even know this plant sun stresses.
me either. It's so beautiful. Like,
the leaves will be a lot larger than this eventually, but this is pretty much like it's like a seedling all over again because it
see if I can turn the light down.
A stick.
Yeah.
So it lost all of its leaves and was just a stem, and she somehow managed to make it grow from that, which is really difficult to do that.
Yeah. I don't know how I did that, but how beautiful is that?
I've never been able to do that. I also don't have the patience for that. Once it's a stick,
I think that's it. I don't think it's that you can't. It's that you don't have the patience for it. Like,
I don't like looking at a stick.
Yeah.
I have a diversifolia.
Yeah.
That she grew from a stick too.
Yeah, that I grew from a stick.
But she had to like get it rooted, and then I took it, and now it looks like a breed sprout. It's really cute. It loves humidity though.
Yeah, it does. It honestly does, and it honestly loves the look of life. So, I love this so much. I did not know the leaves could be white.
Yeah, I want one of these really bad,
beautiful.
But they're pretty much, I think that in this list, that's the hardest to find.
Mm-hmm.
That's
the Ruthier.
The Ruthier, and then the Larissa, and then probably the
Clandestina.
Clandestina, and then the Sigillatus. Those are all going to be harder to find.
Yep.
All the other ones, and the Calycina, kind of, it's a little more difficult.
Only because I feel like it's just not like sought after.
I don't know why. Get on board with the Calycina. It is amazing, and everyone should get one and grow it because it's easy and beautiful and fuzzy. Yep. Everyone wants the Thomsonii, but no one talks about the Calycina, and I don't get it. I have a Thomsonii. I love the Thomsonii. So I'm not talking shit about the Thomsonii, but I just don't. I guess I don't get the trends.
Yeah.
Why the Calycina and why the Calycina and Lauterbachia aren't super coveted, but like the Serpents and the Thomsonii are super coveted. People are spending like hundreds of dollars on 3 leaves. Mm-hmm. But like, just go get yourself a Calycina, and it's like the same, and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, I have all 3. I have all of those plants we just talked about, but sometimes I don't get the Hoya trends. I guess I want them all though, except for Kyriais because they're the worst piece of shit. We should put that in the difficult category. We should also just put that in the suck category.
Yeah, we're not big fans of Kyria. We've killed all the types.
The one Hoya that we hate, we love them all except
the Kyria. It's not.
Also, just not super into like heart-shaped shit. Don't care that much. I also killed a string of hearts. Actually, I didn't kill it. I gave it away.
I love the heart-shaped shit.
I gave it away because it was annoying and fucking bald on top. Stupid.
I cut this part out.
No, don't cut it out.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it for this hour-long video. But I don't know. Maybe we'll try to cut it down, or maybe you guys will watch the whole thing. Who knows?
I like a long plant video.
I love a long plant
just
video.
Just get like some snacks.
I don't know. Yeah, I love a long plant video. I think it's really interesting. But
just watch it in the background.
All right, I do that. I start watching videos like Lucius leaves and
stuff. Yeah, watch it in the background.
BB plants and stuff when I'm getting ready for the day.
Too. And then when they like talk about a plant, I like look over. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times I already know the plants, so I already know what they look like and stuff.
Same.
Well, okay, so you might see us in these same outfits, ketchup and mustard, because we're gonna do an unboxing and we're gonna do a repot with me tonight as well. So we're not some weirdos that just wear the same clothes, but also if we did, don't judge us because we spend all our money on plants, not clothes. So. So we're gonna go and film those, but let us know if you agree or disagree, why, and what are some plants you think we should have added to either category.
Okay.